Alright guys, we are here at the Dollar General and we're about to go inside for some DVD and a Blu-ray hunting. So, stick around. Alright, now here we are at the Dollar General, and as you could see, we have a very small section here. But let's take a look at what they got. And right off the bat, I see the Martin Scorsese film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, starring Ellen Burstyn, who you know from The Exorcist and Requiem for a Dream. And it even comes with some special features. You see a commentary by the director, Martin Scorsese, and it even has the stars Ellen Burstyn and Chris Christopherson, a making of documentary, Second Chances. And it's going for $3.95. You know, you're lucky if you find stuff here for $1, but $3.95, not too bad. Let's keep it moving. And as you see, it's the classic Jaws. Well, here's the 3-movie collection, including the sequels, Jaws 2, 3, and 4, going for $10 there. So if you divide that, that's $3.25 or so each movie, and it's coming with some special features there. You see the making of Jaws. I mean, Jaws 2 is pretty good. The other ones, not so much. And as for some newer movies, you have the Expendables going for $19.95 there. They'll die when they're dead. So as you can see, like I was saying, now some titles here don't go for $1, but $19.95, that's a bit excessive for a DVD. But it's a new release. It's a new release. So hey, you know, sometimes you got to get what you pay for. You know, you have to spend that money there. Right there, we got the Harry Potter 2-film collection going for $8, so that's $4 a movie. Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix Part 5 and the Half-Blood Prince, which is Part 6. And this was what I was confused. I didn't know the Half-Blood Prince was PG. I thought everything from the Order of the Phoenix on was PG-13, so that's pretty interesting. I'll have to look that up and see if that's actually PG or PG-13. So here is the classic, the first Jaws film for Steven Spielberg, and that's $8 compared to the Jaws 3-movie collection, which was going for $10. You know, $3 each film. You know, but that original Jaws comes with a slip cover. You know, you're gonna need a bigger boat, and right underneath, let's take a closer look at this slip cover. So right underneath that slip cover, you get the original Jaws poster, digitally remastered. There's some special features. I do have Jaws on 4K at home and in a nice little edition there with a lithograph cover and a booklet. But here at the Dollar General, going for $8 there. So that's, you know, a little steep. Now, if it was like $5, like some of the other slipcover editions that we're gonna look at, go for $5. So this one has, I guess, a surcharge on it, but hey, that's a classic horror film there. Next up is the 3-film theatrical collection of The Lord of the Rings, the motion picture trilogy. 3 incredible films, 1 collection to rule them all. And as you can see, a slip cover. Let's look inside. And this is the cover of the DVD, the 3-film collection with the ring there. Slip cover is pretty nice. Includes all 3 theatrical films, The Lord of the Rings, the motion picture trilogy. I do like that slipcover there. Going for $10. So once again, just like that Jaws 3-film collection. And here is E.T., the Extraterrestrial, another Steven Spielberg film, going for $5 there. And as you can see, there is no slipcover, but once again, a classic film, Elliot. And Drew Barrymore's in that too. Henry Thomas and Dee Wallace is in that. Here we got a Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes Platinum Collection. Do you guys know that Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, is in theaters now? Did anyone check it out? And I don't know if they're still on Max or if they took them off, but here for $8 is a Platinum Volume 1 collection and some more animated goodness in the 2-movie collection of The Nut Job and The Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature. Never seen any of those films, but some bonus features is included. Okay, and then this was a pretty good deal, I thought. The Illumination 3-movie collection, the first 3 Despicable Me films. I know I've come across some of those short film collection, but here are the 3 theatrical films sealed in a slipcase there, going for $10. So I think that's a pretty good deal. You know, those are newer films. Here is Straight Outta Compton, and it didn't come with a price tag on top. So who knows? Maybe you could get that for $3, $5. Pretty good biopic there on NWA. And for the people who like the faith films, here's God's Not Dead, Woodland, and Indivisible. 3 incredible films of faith for the family there. So if you are into those heartwarming, feel-good films, there are 3 religious films for you there. And as you know, God's Not Dead has 3 films of its own. But here's God's Not Dead, Woodland, and Indivisible in a collection there. And here is the Cartoon Network Hall of Fame collection featuring Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Ed, and Eddie, and Johnny Bravo. So as you can see, that classic late 90s, early 2000s collection there, going for $8. So it's probably a few episodes in there. Here's the 4 film family favorites: Willy Wonka, Space Jam, Dennis the Menace, and The Goonies. Dennis the Menace, I used to love watching that as a kid, with Walter Matthau. That's a good one to watch. Here is the Austin Powers 3 film collection. Some of these don't have a price tag on them. So, that's probably like a $5 one right there, the 3 film collection. Part 2 is my favorite, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Going for $8 is the Rocky 2 movie collection featuring Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, starring Sylvester Stallone. I definitely need to pick up that Rocky 4K collection. You gotta wait till they do the ones with the Rocky Balboa and Creed and all that. So here's the Will Ferrell collection, Kicking and Screaming and Land of the Lost, for $8. Years apart, those films, but there it is. And here it says $2.95 movies and up. And up is small, but it should be bigger there. And as you can see, we're gonna turn this around and check out what other stuff they got here. And as you can see, my fingers are black. That's how you know you're really at the Dollar General. So we're gonna look at this Heart to Heart collection, going for $9.95 there. All 8 made for TV movies, almost $1.50 a piece, $1.25 a piece. So here is Heart to Heart. Never seen any of these. I don't know if it's a television show, made for TV movie, television show. They made movies out of that. So here is the latest Scooby-Doo film for $5. And as you can see, it comes with a digital code. Remember how I always tell you, if the digital code is not working, hit up that customer service email so you could either get that film or get, something else. They usually will reimburse you. Here is Creed for $5. Not too bad, these prices. Scoob and Creed going for $5. They're fairly newer films. Creed has 3 films as well. And here is Sphere, one of the first Blu-rays I seen at this location with Sharon Stone, Dustin Hoffman, Samuel L. Jackson. I do have this DVD at home. Haven't seen it in a while, but you do see there's a commentary there by Dustin Hoffman and Samuel L. Jackson, so that's a pretty good find. Also, there's no price tag, so you might maybe you could haggle a little bit. Here's the first season of Just Shoot Me with David Spade, going for $4.95 there. That's a pretty good deal for one whole season of television. That late 90s, early 2000s goodness there. And we got the tomato collection here. We got fried green tomatoes and the tomato red right next to it. I do have fried green tomatoes at home based on the novel from Fannie Flagg. That's a good one there from the 90s to early 90s. And what is this? Tomato red blood something. So I don't know. And it was going for $7.95 too. That's kind of a lot for this movie that I've never even heard of. Strike it says. Here are some bestsellers. I thought this was a pretty good find too. The first 2 seasons of The Partridge Family, going for $4.95. So that's almost $2.50 a season. I'm more of a Brady Bunch guy myself, but this is a good find featuring, the Shirley Jones. It says David Cassidy and of course Danny Bonaduce. All right, so we all know that Partridge Family song, I Think I Love You. So that was the first 2 seasons of the Partridge Family. And finally, I found something for $1. But what the heck is this? Santa Baby 2. That looks like that girl Jenny McCarthy from MTV Singled Out and Scream 3 and all that stuff. So you gotta dig for those dollar treasures there. And here's another good movie, Prisoners, Hugh Jackman and Paul Dano. I remember seeing this movie. $3.95. Oh, and Jake Gyllenhaal too. Also, this is directed by Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune. So this is a good one, a Silence of the Lambs 7 type of feel there, a serial killer movie. Also a good find is Wings, the first 2 seasons going for $4.95. Once again, almost $2.50 per season there. Now, I've never seen one episode of this movie. I just remember Married with Children would always make fun of Wings. And coming up next, Wings. And then Al Bundy would get all mad and frustrated. Oh God, this show sucks. So there's Wings, the complete first and second season, going for $4.95 there. This was with Zoe Bell in Rays, and you know Zoe Bell was Uma Thurman's stunt woman for the Kill Bill movies, and also she was in Death Proof. Remember, You Never Call a Kiwi in Aussie. She's the girl who does Ship's Mask, the stunt woman there in Death Proof. So that was the Zoe Bell's movie. Here's these made-for-TV biopics there, going for $4.95. 4 films for $4.95, not too bad there. $1 a film, I was going to say 75 cents. $1 a film, give or take. Here's Field of Dreams going for $8. So as you see, the price definitely fluctuates. If it's a classic movie, we saw E.T. going for $5. Here's something a little more expensive. If you build it, they will come. Anthony Hopkins, just saw a cool documentary about him. So here is The World's Fastest Indian, which is something I've never seen. It does come with an original documentary from 1971. That's a pretty good deal, especially for this movie going for $4.95. So as you figure, $2 and change. Here's The Other Side of Heaven 2, going for $5.95. Fire of Faith. So another one of these faith, feel-good religious films out there for all you religious people out there. Nothing wrong with getting a little religion in there. Thought this was cool. 80s Beat, going for $4.95, and it's a collection from all your teen heartthrobs from yesteryear. River Phoenix, Johnny Depp, and that guy, he looks like he was in Just One of the Guys. Also Robert Downey Jr. 8 fab films going for $4.95. Flatliners, True Believer, The New Kids, Little Nikita, The Legend of Billie Jean, Private Resort, Like Father, Like Son, and Side Out. None of those films, besides Flatliners, do I recognize. But hey, look at that cover. You know, it looks like the magazine cover is a bop and things like that. So that's definitely something to have if you know you love 80s films and you remember those magazines. Tiger Beat and Bop, they don't make them like that anymore. Okay, yeah, the 80s Beat collection with 8 films. Also got some Amanda Bynes goodness here, and Frankie Muniz, and I saw Paul Giamatti is in there too. There he is in the blue in Big Fat Liar, and you all know Amanda Bynes. Hey, it's great that she's out there doing her thing, but you know, gone are the days where she looked like that on the front cover. You know, she a nice young lady right there, going for $3.95 in Big Fat Liar. An Uncommon Grace. Kelly McGillis, that name seems familiar. I think she was in Top Gun. And if she's not in that, maybe she's in another 80s movie. But this is one of those, either it's a Hallmark Lifetime movie or another religious film. Here for $13 is a triple feature of the Godzilla vs. Kong, King vs. Monsters, Kong Skull Island. For $13 for 3 fairly new films, I thought that was an okay deal. Maybe $4 and change per movie. That's not too bad. Compared to the Super Mario Brothers Power Up Edition going for $19.95 there. That's one film for $19.95, just like the Expendables. So, you know, you compare that Godzilla collection with this Super Mario Brothers collection, and you could see where the deal is. But that Super Mario Brothers does come with a slipcover. So here is what it looks like. You know, the regular DVD case looks like the slipcover. It's a nice cover, and I remember seeing that movie in the theaters. It was okay. You know, I just rather maybe get up on my Nintendo system and play the original game. So for $10, here's the Pitch Perfect trilogy. Never seen one of those films, but you got Rebel Wilson and Anna Kendrick, I think her name is. Okay, for $8, we're getting this triple feature here. Beethoven. I loved watching Beethoven. And also Babe and Cat in the Hat. The first two are like early 90s movies, and the Cat in the Hat I think is late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, Beethoven with Charles Grodin, Bonnie Hunt. Here is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from the early 2000s in a slipcover there, and as you can see, that's $5. Also, these are $5 too. Storks and the Goonies, coming with those slipcovers there. None of those are my favorite films. Great movies, great value. Okay, and then we got another Looney Tunes collection there. 45 classic cartoons. Foghorn Leghorn going for $8 there. So, you know, I have to check if Looney Tunes is still on Max. Just great memories from watching all those cartoons as a kid. You know, they got them on Blu-ray and all that good stuff. So here is Dune from Denis Villeneuve with Timothée Chalamet. And also Zendaya. I believe Zendaya is in that film. I saw the first one, haven't seen the second one, for $15. No slipcover. You know, hey, that's even cheaper than the Super Mario Brothers movie, and that movie is fairly new. I thought this cover was cool. Also going for $15, Minions: The Rise of Gru Collector's Edition with a slipcover there, over 60 minutes of bonus content, and those include the 2 mini movies. Not like that Despicable Me collection that I was showing you earlier. And here is the slipcover, which looks exactly like the DVD case. So it's a nice little slipcover there, like right there. And yeah, Minions: The Rise of Gru. So here is the Back to the Future trilogy in a slipcase, going for $15 there. All 3 films. Not my favorite films, but I love Michael J. Fox, and you also got Christopher Lloyd. And oh man, what's that other chick's name? Not Rhea Perlman. Not Rhea Perlman. I keep forgetting her name. I know she was in the Beverly Hillbillies. Leah Thompson, I believe her name is. Here's one of these straight DVD. American Pie presents Girls Rules. What did it say? It's the ultimate thirst trap. Oh, Danny Trejo is in this. You see Danny Trejo right there. I believe there's 4 original American Pie films, and who knows how many of these straight to DVD flicks there are. Going for $10 there. And also for $10 is the 4-film Matrix collection. The Matrix 2, 3, and also the Animatrix. And I believe this is on 4K, and it was really expensive, going for like damn near $100 or something like that. So if you're balling on a budget, you could get that Matrix 4 film collection there, going for $10. Not too bad. There's worse things out there. Also for $8 is the Poltergeist triple feature, the Poltergeist collection, featuring, you know, the classic Poltergeist with Jo Beth Williams and Craig T. Nelson. And of course, Carol Ann. Part 2 and 3 are terrible, but part 3 has Nancy Allen and some other 80s and 90s stars. Here's Nanny McPhee, the $5 triple feature, $2.50 a piece. Not too bad there. Lara Flynn Boyle is in Poltergeist. That I was trying to remember her name. Here's also a triple feature, Mortal Kombat triple feature, going for $8 in that original Mortal Kombat poster there. Yeah, I think I saw the first one and that's it. Remember that really cool techno song, Mortal Kombat? Nothing like the video games, right? But this movie is always on my mind. Major Pain with Damon Wayans, going for $5 there. I'd love to see that again. They have to put it on some streaming site so I could see it. And that also reminds me of Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito and Stacey Dash. Remember that movie? Also is the Friday collection. Friday, next Friday, Friday after next. $5. That's really not too bad there. $2 and change. $2.25 a movie. Pretty good. Bye, Felicia. Also is the Rush Hour collection, part 1 and 2. Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker. I was never into those movies, but you know, I know that people like them a lot, and a lot of special features here, commentaries and short film and commentaries and DVD ROM features. So $4 a movie, not too bad there. Also the Batman, this is a really good deal. $5. This is a fairly new film with Robert Pattinson. I believe they're gonna make a sequel to this movie. Now who's the chick in this movie? It's not Zoe Saldana. I don't know, I mixed them all up. Zendaya, Zoe Saldana, Lenny Kravitz's daughter. Anyway, here's Medea Goes to Jail. Medea going for $8, and that's kind of a ripoff from what we've been seeing. That should definitely go for $2. I like Diary of a Mad Black Woman. That was a good one. And of course, the cursing dog movie Strays, going for $5. This movie is just cringe. I've never seen it, but it just seems cringe, you know what I mean? And also the cursing kid movie, Good Boys, going for $5. So you could have a cursing dog, cursing kid, double feature there. The $10 total, $5 a piece. That kid reminds me of Biggie Smalls, you know what I mean? I don't know why, but he does. I've never seen any of those movies there, but there you have it. And New York, New York, I thought this was pretty cool. I have this at home, but I don't have this collector's 2-disc collector's edition. So I thought this was really cool, and it comes with an audio commentary with Martin Scorsese. So I maybe seen this movie once. Liza Minnelli, Robert De Niro. So that's definitely a good find. The 30th anniversary collection, going for $3.95 there. Here's another one of these 50s classic TCM, Turning Classic Movies. Storm Warning, The Winning Team, Kings Row, and The Winning... I already said The Winning Team. I can't see the other movie there. Going for however much it was going for. But here's the original Back to the Future, going for $5 there. And you might as well get that Back to the Future collection for $10 more in that slipcase, you know what I mean? But there's the original. Penn and Teller BS, the complete second season, going for $2.95 there. That's a pretty good deal. I've, I remember them, but just never seen an episode, I don't think. Okay, this was a good find. 26 episodes of the TV's greatest game shows, and it has all of them. The Price is Right, Queen for a Day, What's My Line? So for $4 there, 26 episodes of classic television. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay guys, I'm back in the car from my very awkward Dollar General video. Now, this video is going to be all voiceover. I stopped here the other day and the movie section is so small. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but the movie section is so small and it's so noisy in there between it's mostly the people who work there. The employees and the customers are noisy. It's not the best location, but I made it anyway. I was like, you know what, why don't I come back and at first I came here and I was like, it's too noisy to do this video and it's such an awkward spot, the employees are working and here I am filming and stuff like that, looking at movies. So I didn't do it the first time I came here, and then I was like, you know what, why don't I just go back and just film for TikTok, and then I'll do voiceover, and then I'm like, why don't I just do a regular video as voiceover? So long story short, this video is going to be all voiceover, but I ended up buying something, and I bought Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore for $3.95, starring Ellen Burstyn, Chris Christopherson, and directed by Martin Scorsese for $3.95. It's funny, I ran into an employee, stopped me there. He was just like, is that for you? And I was like, yeah. While I was filming, he's like, is that for you? He's like, I got a website where you could watch everything and you don't have to pay for nothing. So, hey, nice guy, gave me the website. We looked it up and just chit-chatted for a little bit. I didn't tell him, oh, I do videos where you do. And I was just like, whatever. So, and plus I have my black fingers, because it's always for some reason so dusty and dirty in there. But I also bought a lot of candy because Dollar Tree is like the place to go for candy. But when I stopped here the other day, I was like, oh, they have $1 candy. We're at $1.25 treat. At Dollar Tree, it's $1.25. So I bought Bike and Ike Sour, which this is so flippin' good. And I bought some other stuff like Sour Patch, Tropical Sour. Now, the reason that they're $1 is like $1.25 tree. It's like the smaller pack. And then I tried these the other day, the Lifesaver gummies, and they were so freaking good. This one was like $2 and change, and it was the sour ones. And then I also bought these. I got a major sweet tooth. I know, Sour Dudes, Sour Bites. So I have to just really calm down so I don't, get diabetes or anything. But I bought all that, and the other cool stuff that was in there was that Elliot Gould, The Long Goodbye, and then the Partridge Family wings, and the game show DVDs. So there was a lot of cool stuff in there. And I tried to go to another Dollar General where it was like a bigger section, but they didn't have anything it was just the same old stuff. They were having a sale there, a buy one get one 50% off, so I'm sure they're trying to get rid of the inventory. Anyway, so this may have been a slightly awkward, different video, but I'm glad I did it anyway and just, got out of my shell. Even though it's a voiceover, I just felt so awkward doing what I do in that small section and in this location. I just didn't feel comfortable. But I felt comfortable, just filming stuff, and then, I'll add the voiceover later. And I really just wanted to get the dollar candy too. So $3.95 for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I believe this was the original movie, and then it spun off into that TV series Alice. That at the diner or whatever, because here she's like a waitress, but I have seen this movie. I didn't think it was great. Another one I saw in there was the New York I Love You, which I have to look at home if I have that 2-disc edition. I hope I do, because it looked like the same cover. Anyway, this one comes with a commentary from the director, and also Ellen Burstyn and Chris Christopherson are on the commentary. A making of documentary, second chances, and a theatrical trailer. So $3.95. Not the worst thing in the world. I saw some pretty cool stuff in there, mostly like the double, triple features had the best deal. As usual, there was a lot of expensive stuff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Dollar General video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, tap that notification bell, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you find at your Dollar General, and I will see you next time.